welcome to the video, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 best weapon combinations in Apex Legends of Series 4. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about specifically Season 4 Split 2, and more importantly, what weapons work best in Ranked. So there is a lot of them, and a couple of them can be substitutable. For instance, I think one of them could have been like, just say one of them was double R9s, you could easily replace that with R9 Prowler or R9 PK, just because, you know, those are all very good weapons. So if there's one submachine gun given in a certain class, it can be substitutable with another one. If it were like R9 Prowler or maybe Prowler PK, they can all kind of be interchangeable. But either way, let's get right into the list. Coming in at the honorable mention spot, we have the R99 Prowler combo. So this combo is deadly. I mean, this is probably one of my favorite combos to run. I like R99 a lot, and then the Prowler is amazing because it has that 35 mag with the purple extended on it. So the weapon hits for a ton, and you basically never run out of ammo. So after you run out of ammo with your R9, you just switch to the Prowler real quick, and it's easy kills. You're able to clean up very, very easily, and it's so effective like every single time. So this is one of the more super aggressive strategies, and I think that's why it suffers a little bit. It couldn't make the actual list. It's just because it doesn't have any range, and range is very, very necessary, especially when you're playing ranked, because when you're able to pick at people and poke people and maybe even get a knock before the fight, it can determine how the fight is going to go. You know, because if you down one of their players and push, you're going to have a very, very high success rate. I think most of the players on PS4 are running a lot of G7 and you know, just longer range weapons. I see a lot of Hemlock as well, and that's probably a little bit different on PC because I know a lot of players run Wingman. But either way, that is the only reason that this class suffers a little bit and couldn't make the top 5, is because there's really not a lot of range. The most range you get is from the R99, but overall, if you can force yourself into close range situations, this is hands down probably the best combination you can have if you're like a very aggressive player. I think, like I said, it does suffer a little bit because there's no range, but overall I love this class setup, and personally I run it a lot just because of how effective it is at close range and close quarter combat. If you can force yourself into that situation, you will see so much success with this combination, and that is why it takes the honorable mention spot. So coming in at number 5 on this list, we have the R99 and the Longbow combination, and this is a really, really slept on combination. Like I said before, actually, with the R99, you can obviously substitute this for the Prowler, because I think the Prowler actually at this point is a little bit better, although I prefer the R99 just because of comfortability reasons. But either way, this combination is insane, guys. I promise you, if you're looking for a way to contest G7 scout teams, which can be extremely frustrating, especially on console, there's a lot of teams that run 3 G7 scouts, and it's very, very difficult to counter. But I promise you guys, the Longbow is a very good option because of the 55 body shot and potential like 118 headshot. I mean, if they don't have a target, I think it's even higher, maybe up to 130. I think I've hit before, I'm not positive, but the Longbow will chunk people's health if you can hit the headshot. The only drawback to the Longbow, I'd say, is the inability to store a lot of ammo with it. It is kind of an ammo hog. I think it has about 12 shots in a mag with a purple extended on it, and I think heavy or sniper ammo only comes in stacks of maybe 10 or 20. I think it's 20, but either way, you have to have at least 3 stacks, and it could be a little bit consuming after the inventory changes, so you can be running into a little bit of trouble with that, and I think that's what mainly sets this loadout back a little bit. Not to mention the G7's DPS and the Hemlock's DPS is just a little bit higher, but this is a solid loadout. If you guys are sleeping on the Longbow, I promise you it might be your favorite gun if you use that with the 3x sight and then an R9 with an HCOG. You get the best of both worlds with the long range, high damage capability, and then the close range with the R9, and that has very high DPS as well. So this is definitely a very, very solid combination, like I said, just because it matches range with matches long range with medium to short range, and I think that's where most of these loadouts you're going to see success in, is when they can cover all ranges effectively, because that's the best loadout you're going to be looking for. So coming in at number 4, we have the Wingman Peacekeeper. Now this one would be higher on the list because I know a lot of PC pros love this setup and they run it a lot. This is definitely a fan favorite combination. You see it all the time in tournaments. You know, a lot of people prefer this, but if you're on console like I am, the 60 frame rate cap and the refresh rate just kind of messes with the hit registration of the wingman, and it causes you to miss a little bit more shots, and the registration just feels a little wonky, and I feel like a lot of players on PS4, especially in ranked, avoid it. Just because it can be a little bit inconsistent at times, but if you're on PC, tons of people love this, and tons of people love the PK as well. Now, the PK is obviously such a solid weapon since it could hit for 101 burst, and it just chunks health bars. It can kill people instantly, especially if you peek corners, peek walls, peek doors, things like that. You're going to be able to chunk people very, very easily, and if you just poke back in, poke out real quick, and use that little combination of peeking and then going back behind cover and hitting them with the PK, you will be able to absolutely destroy your opponents. It's kind of looked down upon a little bit, the Peacekeeper, just because of how good it actually is. I mean, at this point in the game, you can, after all of its nerfs, it's still probably overpowered, and that's why it makes it this high on the list, is just because it's so good and it's so effective. I think the only thing that draws this class setup back is if you are the kind of high aim requirement of the wingman and the high punishment possibility of missing your shots with both weapons, especially close range. If you miss a PK shot, you can't just switch to your second weapon like it's an R9 Prowler and kind of bail yourself out, because your second weapon is going to be the wingman, and it's going to be even harder to hit your shots with that. So this class setup definitely struggles a little bit close to medium range, just if you're not hitting your shots. If you're hitting your shots, you're going to pummel people, you know, short, medium range, and your only problem is really going to be long range, because the wingman is not exactly a super long range weapon. It's nothing like a sniper. It wouldn't be able to compete with the G7. It wouldn't be able to compete with the Longbow at longer ranges, but the wingman 45 damage is really, really good in medium range. Even short range, I've seen it used a ton, especially the PC players who can flick onto people. The wingman could be absolutely devastating, and the PK wingman combo is really, really amazing, and the only reason it's not higher on this list is just because of all of the console players who have felt the pain of just missing wingman shots that really feel like they should be connecting. And I think that's the only reason that this class suffers, and the lack of range. So next up on this list, coming in at number 3, we have the R99 Hemlock combo. So this is definitely an amazing combination, and as you guys can see by this list, if you haven't noticed already, the best combinations always run 2 different ammo types, but you can run the same ammo type. You just have to be careful, because having that much of the same ammo is going to be, you can potentially run out, especially with the G7 R9. If you were to run that, you can run out of ammo pretty easily, and you almost have to stock up like 400 plus ammo, and it can actually be pretty harmful towards your game if you are running out of ammo very often, and that can be seen a lot if you're running 2 of the same ammo types, and that is why the R99 Hemlock pairs so well together. The Hemlock, you usually do need to have a decent amount of heavy ammo, and same with the R99, but you can usually get away with you know, like 3 stacks of each, and then that would be comfortable, because then you could really spray and set up late game with your Hemlock, and you don't have to worry about running out of ammo. And that's why I think that you just should separate the ammo types. But the reason why this combination is so good is because of the Hemlock single fire, and I've even seen some people running the Hemlock burst, and it is amazing. Like, I promise you guys, if you are still sleeping on the Hemlock, you have to give it a shot. This gun at long range with like a 2x Bruiser or a 3x Ranger, like, this weapon is insane. It absolutely melts people, especially on the single fire mode. You will be able to run over opponents extremely quickly. It has very, very fast fire rate, and the ability to mow down people at range is insane on this class, especially with the R99, which is such a reliable option at closer ranges. This class setup is so reliable and will definitely get the job done every single time, and that makes this class setup not only so versatile, but so effective. So coming in at the number 2 spot, we have the Havoc G7 combination. So this combo is absolutely insane. Like I was talking about before, you need a combination that covers all ranges for it to be effective. And the Havoc itself can be used short, medium, and long range, and the gun is absolutely insane. The damage on this weapon, I think, is the highest DPS in the game, like I talked about in my RNG weapons video. The damage is truly unrivaled, and if you're going up against a Havoc in medium ranges, even short ranges, most of the time you're just going to lose. The gun has a 32 mag count, so it makes running people over in mid-range engagements just absolutely incredibly easy. And as well as the pairing with the G7, you can get people at range, and that can melt people at range, and then you can pull up with the Havoc and just run teams over. I mean, this is such a slept on combination. I feel like not as many people use this as they should. I feel like if everyone knew how overpowered this combination actually was, they'd be running it every single game. I've run into a couple players that run it, and I don't personally use it, but I knew it had to make this list just because of how frustrating it actually is to go up against. I mean, the Havoc, if you guys don't already know, is such an overpowered weapon at this point in the game. I genuinely think it needs a nerf. It's the highest DPS weapon, like I said. And then with the G7 long range, you can put like a 2x or a 3x on the G7, and if your entire team is running this same combination, you will see so much success in team fights. It's almost impossible to go up against like the G7, especially if an entire team is running it. Like it's so difficult to even push up on that team, get anywhere close to that team, or even run away from that team. And I think that's where this combination really shines, is keeping people at range, and then being able to pull up on them with the Havoc and really run teams over with that excessively high DPS that comes with the Havoc. Not to mention that energy ammo is actually pretty easy to come by. I think it stacks in like 30s, I'm pretty sure. So if you just find one stack of it, it's like 30. So you get ammo very easily with energy. You never really have to worry about running out. And I think the only downfall of this class is actually, contrary to what I was just saying, is running out of energy ammo late game. I think early game, you can stock up pretty easily, but the gun does consume a decent amount of ammo. It has a relatively higher fire rate, and a lot of people don't run Havoc, so it can be potentially difficult to find energy ammo later on in the game, and that's where this class setup kind of struggles. I wouldn't say struggles, because this class setup by no means struggles, but that's the only reason that I wouldn't put this class setup at the number 1 spot, and that's why it comes in at number 2. And some of these might be interchangeable, so if you guys don't agree with some of these on the list, just comment below what your favorites are. But coming in at number 1, like I said, Prowler G7. This is probably the most reliable combination in the game, just because of the high ammo count on the Prowler. It has 35, you can get a purple mag, and the burst fire on the Prowler is so slept on too, so you can either run the burst fire or the full auto, and you basically never lose close range engagements, because I think the DPS on the Prowler is actually higher than the R99. So basically, you're going to be winning every engagement up against an R9, especially if they don't one clip you, because I feel like that's the problem a lot of people run into when you're fighting against a guy with the Prowler, is if you have the R9 and you don't one clip a guy with a Prowler, he's going to beat you purely based on ammo count. He has 35 shots, and with a maxed out R9, you have, I think, 26. So you're at an extreme disadvantage of 9 extra bullets that guy has, and that is such a game changer. And I really feel like that's why the Prowler just steps a little bit ahead of the R9 and makes it probably teetering on the overpowered category. I would like to see the Prowler actually get a nerf, because it is incredibly strong, and when you match it with the G7, as you guys know, if you play on console, G7 is running rampant right now, and all players use it. It's incredibly frustrating to go against, but the weapon's extreme high DPS capabilities, I think 20 mag count with a purple mag, and just the ability to spray down teams makes this combination with the G7 and the Prowler almost, it literally lacks skill to use this combination. Like, guys, I promise you, if you were looking for a solid combination, like, you don't even have to try if you're using this. You'll just be able to run over teams with like a lack of effort. You don't even have to try. Like, I promise you, this is probably the most overpowered setup in the entire game. If you're going up against a team with G7s and they have Prowlers close range, you're gonna get run over. Especially like the gold Prowler, like that thing melts. So I think that this is why this weapon combination definitely has to be the best in the game, just because it has the 2 different ammo types. It has the ability to spray close range with literally no ability to lose. The only way you're going to lose is if someone pulls out a Havoc, Devotion, Mastiff, you know, or like a Peacekeeper maybe, but even still, the Prowler just melts people. I mean, I've gotten so many clutches just because of the high ammo count, and I've been able to run over teams with the burst as well. The burst is so slept on, like I said before. It's amazing. And as well as the G7's poke potential and just long range ability to keep teams at bay and keep them away from you. That's why this combination has to come in at number 1, and it's hands down easily the most overpowered combination in the game, and definitely the best class setup you can run, especially in rank. So that's pretty much it for today's video. So if you guys think I missed out on any combinations, just comment them below. Let me know what I missed out on. But like I said, some of them are interchangeable. So if you guys are thinking Prowler, Hemlock, or something like that, just let me know, because I know that some of those are definitely a fan favorite, and I may have missed out on some of those, like maybe Wingman R9. I didn't mention that, but I did do Wingman Peacekeeper, and Peacekeeper is your short range, so it can be substituted for the R9. And that's why I think that you can substitute a couple of these and still make them work pretty effectively. So, like I said, that's pretty much it for today's video. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.